Daith da, Eubinakan. Welcome to podcast number 58. Well, I hope you're all well. In this podcast today, we got a brilliant interview with Nancy Honey, talking about St Mabyn, going back, 80 odd years? And you can imagine the changes that have happened then. I know you're going to enjoy it. 'Tis brilliant. And as far as the funerals go, one of the funerals we conducted this week was one of Father's old school friends, dear Esther. And 'twas quite touching. Father was even mentioned in the eulogy, but someone who will be sadly missed. But me weekend was a bit varied, and it started Friday evening. Now, Beth had gone away for the weekend up to her godmother's surprise 70th birthday. And, when I say surprise 70th birthday, she knew she was going to be 70, but the surprise was she had a party that she didn't know about. So it meant I was home alone, just me, the 2 dogs and the 2 cats. Well, what could go wrong? So Friday evening, 'twas pitch black, but I thought, I might just take the dogs for a little run in the woods. I got my head torch on. So off we went, and Oggy, he's our older Springer. He's good as gold. He'll stick right beside me. Fantastic. Leren, she's about 2 and she's mez as a coot. She's here, there and everywhere. And we'd only run about a minute, if that, and she'd gone off into the woods and she'd come back with a decomposing animal in her mouth. And I couldn't see what 'twas at the time. And I hope you weren't squeamish, man. I hope you weren't having your tea while I'm talking about this, because this gets quite in depth. But anyway, if ever she does find a dead animal, she won't let it get near her, And I thought, right, how are we going to manage with this? So we did the run, get back to the van, Augie jumps in, Leren goes up a little path. And I got my head torch, I can see her little red eyes looking at me. If I go 5 steps towards her, she goes 5 steps back. If I go another 5 steps, she goes further away. So I thought, this is going to be fun. So I rung Beth. I said, what do I do? She said, just stay in the van, start the engine up, she'll come. Did she come? No, she didn't. So we was there about 20 minutes. I'd caught up on all my emails and messages in that time. So I thought, right, we'll go out again. So I said to Augie, come on, we can go in for another walk. So we went up to where Leren was, and we went on a walk, and she's just leading ahead. She won't let me catch up, And eventually we got back to the van, and as we were getting back, I thought, actually, I don't know if there's anything in her mouth now. You couldn't get close enough, but it didn't look like it. So Augie jumps in, and then Leren eventually jumped in. And as she jumped in, I could see hanging out of her mouth the back quarter of a dead squirrel, and you could tell it had been dead for quite a while. The tail was all mangy. It was terrible. So I thought, right, when we get home, I'm going to have to get this out of her mouth. And so I'm driving home, and all I can hear is Leren chowing on this blooming squirrel. And I thought, here we go. So we get home. Augie goes right indoors, brilliant. I thought, right, I'm going to have to get out now, and whatever's left of this squirrel, I'm going to have to get out of her mouth. And I opened the back door of the van, and she'd ate it all, including the tail. Oh, God. So that was that. So Saturday morning was a lot better. You might well have seen the photos on our RJ Brave Facebook page. I've put it on the website now as well, actually. But I think about 18 months ago, we were approached by a committee that had started up here in Wadebridge, and they had an idea of put a community standing stone in a lovely little area just at the start of the camel trail here from Wadebridge down to Padstow. And there's a little area that Nigel Wiggett years ago had put the first bench there and he'd cared for. And they just wanted to develop it a bit more, a couple more benches and a lovely standing stone. And I think it came together a little bit after we'd come through COVID and how that had affected a lot of people in different ways. So they got hold of us to see if we would give a little donation from our charitable fund to get the ball rolling sort of thing. So I said, yep, that's fine. So we did that, and there's other people in the town have given fantastic donations as well. And then there's people that have given their time, their hard work, supplying materials and everything. And it all came together on Saturday morning when we had the official opening at 11 o'clock. So I went down there, and you'll see on the photos, they've come out absolutely brilliant. There's a lovely chunk of granite there, Cornish granite, and there's a few benches there with little plaques on. And there's a lovely inscription, a plaque that they've actually put on the granite stone. So if you click on the photo there, or even if you're near in town, walk down, you can read it yourself. But I've put it on our Facebook and website. And it was a lovely, there was a nice little crowd down there, and they had refreshments there, they had music, and the weather was pretty good. And it was brilliant, really. The photos is my dear friend, the councillor Rob Moorcroft, and he was my official photographer, so he managed to take the photos. And we had a good chat. There's a lot of locals down there, and then the rain come, and I tell you what, it poured down. But thankfully, it hadn't rained all the time, but it was a pity it come in when it did. And I had to shoot off then because I was meeting someone back at work at 1:45. But it was a lovely little event. So if you want to, walk down and have a look at it, or look on our website or Facebook page, there's some nice little photos there. So that was okay. That's Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, I thought, right, I'm taking the dogs out again. I said to Beth, I ain't going to let that dog off. She said, if you put a long lead on him and then you just keep on lead, he can run while he's still on the lead. So I thought, that's brilliant. So we went up to the woods again, and where it went wrong was I had a phone call. So there I'm juggling the dog lead and me pen, the phone, and what happened? The lead slipped out of my hand, she was gone. And 'tis a different part of the woods to what we normally go. And the next thing I could hear pheasants. Obviously, she'd frightened a load of pheasants and that, but it all went quiet. And I finished my phone call. So me and Augie's going looking for her, couldn't find her anywhere. We was walking around for over an hour. So I rung Beth. I rung Beth again. I said, I've lost your dog. So then it was an hour and 15 minutes. So I rung Lils. Lils was coming to the rescue. And Katie, sister-in-law, she usually goes walking dogs, so she was coming up. And I heard the gamekeepers. Now, I'm sure they was filling up the feeders for the pheasants. So I just sent a little message to Pinky to say, here, if any of your gamekeepers are up this way and they see my little spaniel, if you could let us know, that would be brilliant. And dear of her, she said, I'll be there in 15 minutes. And she came up and in her 4x4, and we went all round, trying to find, looking for tracks and everything. And then we had a phone call to say that Katie had found her. So that was that. So thank goodness for that. But next day I did take the dogs out, but independently. I went for a run with Augie first, and then we walked up to Mother's in the evening, both of them on a lead. So quite eventful. Anyway, that's enough for me now. Now for what I expect you've been waiting to hear, dear Nancy. I'm sure you'll really enjoy this. I'll just round it off directly with me Cornish bits and whatever. But over now to Nancy. Get on, Nancy. How we knacking?
Well, I'm all right, David. How are you?
Proper, yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, that's good. Good to meet up with you today.
Yes, thank you very much for coming.
Lovely.
Now, hello, everybody. I'm Nancy, and I was born in 1932 at St Mabyn, up a little cul-de-sac road called Kelly Park, or the Island. This being because years before I was born, Mr Kelly came over from Ireland and built 3 cottages up our road, ours being the first, and was built with cob. St Mabyn village was very well supplied with everything needed in it. Just over the hedge from where I lived, Mr Hoskin had a thresher machine, which he would go out every day and
on different farms, I suppose.
On different farms and that. And at the end of our road, Jack Bastard had a slaughterhouse.
Right.
where they killed the bullocks and all that. And then there's another little road further up the main, what I call the main road, and they had a brewery, but that was long before I was born. I didn't know that one.
No.
But and at the end of that road, our doctor's surgery was somebody's private house, which had a lean-to at the side of it with galvanised roof, and that was our surgery every Friday.
Yeah.
We asked a shoe shop in the village, sold shoes, and Mr. Bate did the repairing of the shoes as well. We also had 3 sweet shops, one called Chapman's, and next to the shop was a shed where Mr. Chapman sold second-hand furniture.
Right.
We had 2 butchers in the village that sold meat from their own home because there was no fridges or nothing. They said they never had shops. So we were all right for butchers. We had post office and stores. We also had a petrol station, which had 2 petrol pumps, and they used to charge batteries and accumulators because in those days it was only the wireless, no televisions.
No.
Because back to start with, we had no electric.
No.
Mr. Arbor used to come around once a week with his bicycle with young rabbits on the crossbar and the handlebars, which Mother used to buy a rabbit or 2 often every week. My father, he was a sexton and did bell ringing and taught us youngsters how to ring the bells, which made us have a second bell ringing lot.
Yeah.
And I rung the second bell.
Right.
But also on a Sunday, he would go to church, and at the end of the bell ringing, he would go in the church into the vestry, which was just behind the organ, which was then no electric again as usual. So we had a hand with a pump that used to pump the pump. And across on the wall was a slate on a string.
Right.
And as you pumped, so the string would go up the wall. And when it reached the top, the organ was then filled with the wind.
Yeah.
But you had to keep your eye on it because if it started coming down and it reached the bottom, there'd be no winds. But my dad wasn't, he didn't suffer very good health, so sometimes he was poorly.
Yeah.
And then I would go in and do it, you see. Well, being a youngster, you'd be looking around the vestry and that, and sometimes you could feel the organ slowing down, so you
pump like that,
to keep it going with the wind.
Yeah.
But yes, that was all in St. Mabyn. So, like I said, we were very well self-employed. Mr. Meeks, do you remember Mr. Meeks? Used to drive for the co-op.
I don't know. No, the only Meeks I can remember is Bert Meeks.
Bert Meeks,
yeah.
It was Bert Meeks, and he would come every Friday.
All right.
Because Mother would have something off him.
Yeah.
And that was it. But that was all Semaine, so we were very well. But then, as I got a bit older, got married and had a cottage at the end of St. Mabyn, and we used to have a fete and bowl for pigs.
Right.
And of course I had to go, everything else, but just wandered off because thought, well, it's the farmer's thing, I won't be anywhere in it.
Yeah.
And with that, Ron come to me and said, don't you go very far off because you're bowling off for the pig. And I said, what, me? Yes, he said, bowled for the pig and won it.
Get away. Really?
So we had 1 pig to take back to our cottage.
Yeah.
So we fitted up a shed, put the pig in there, and then after a while we got another one to go with it.
All right.
And then, of course, we had piglets.
Yeah.
So, of course, then we kept pigs. And we kept chickens. And chickens, well, Ron come one day with a little chicken that was sort of on the way out, more or less, because he couldn't breathe very well. And he said, "This one wants some warmth. Can you do something for me?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm going to the hairdressers at Way Bridge, but I'll put me oven on," because we did have electric back then. And put it on low, went to the hairdressers, had my hair done, and said, "Well, I can't stay because I've got a chicken in the oven." And they said, "Oh, hello, Nancy, you got chicken for tea?" So I said, "No." I said, "I'm trying to bring one back to life if I can."
Yeah.
And when I went home, I opened the oven door and it jumped out on my lap.
Food, eh?
So
fantastic.
I reared that one.
Yeah.
And then going back to the pigs, we had a pig at the bottom of the garden whose Debbie's privates was all festered and that had all burst.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hooper, my next door neighbour, was an ex-farmer. He wasn't home. Mr. Ely, little way up the road, he was a farmer. He wasn't home.
No.
So I thought, well, what do I do? So I went indoors and got a nice couple of bits of cloth and some warm water and salt and bathed it all for him.
Yeah.
Left his food in the trough by him and just come back and left him. And when Ron came home for tea, I said, "You better go and have a look at your pig," because I said, "I don't know if he's all right or if he isn't."
Yeah.
And when he went down there, he was up and ate all his food and that.
Fantastic.
So I brought that one back to life.
Proper.
Again. So,
that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So that was,
Yeah, because I can't get me head. Well, before we talk about some Mabyn, so if we go right back to the beginning, what was your maiden name?
I was Long.
Long.
Nancy Long.
And mother and father, were they old St Mabyn, or did they move from elsewhere? Or?
Well, they lived around, but as far as I'm concerned, they was, in St Mabyn.
Yeah.
Mostly. I can't quite remember where they came from, but they were.
Yeah.
And I have four brothers, no sisters, but I have four brothers. And
what did father do for a living then?
Well, father did all sorts. He was a lorry driver.
Yeah.
And I know years ago when he used to drive for a couple of people, but when he was driving for this man up St. Cuar Way, I think. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But they used to go down to Rock.
Right.
Getting loads of sand and taken away.
Yeah.
And we then had a big pit, because at the bottom of their garden, they had a long garden, and at the bottom was plenty of room, so they dug a great big pit, and we had a sand pit when we were kids.
Yeah.
So that was good,
So what was all your brothers' Christian names then?
I had a brother, Peter, Leonard, David, and Brian. Was four boys, and that's good. But my brother David, we lost it when he was about 2 years and 9 months, because back then he had double pneumonia. And of course there wasn't no medication and that like there was today, so we lost him. But my brother Brian was born the day after. Yeah, so David died one day, and Brian was born the next.
What a mixture of emotions in that.
So
house.
my mother,
exactly.
she went through,
Yeah.
well, she went went through hell.
Exactly.
She was really, I was 6 then,
All right.
so but I can remember it.
Yeah. And with your schooling then, obviously we got the school in St Mabyn, and you went there from what, 4 or 5 years old?
Yes, I went there before, because I should have started school after the summer holidays.
Right.
But I was born in May, so they let me go.
All right.
Before.
Yeah.
So I went a couple of months before they broke up from school. And of course I left when I was 14.
Right. So you stayed that school the whole time?
I stayed at school the old time.
Yeah.
I left at 14 and went and worked for, back in those days, they called it upstairs, downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
And I went and worked for Sir John and Lady Tremaine at Crone.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I was there 6 years.
Was he? Yeah.
And I got married from there. And Sir John and Lady Tremaine came to my wedding.
Did you have to walk there every day then from home, working?
No, I lived in.
Oh, you lived in, right, I get
I
it.
lived in, had a half day every Thursday
Right.
and every other Sunday. But it was I liked it there. They were very nice people, nice to work for, and I liked it there. But I've done shop work, I've been a waitress, I've done, well, over at Tredinnick, when we lived at Lane End, when the cottage over at Tredinnick was, they kept chickens, dead chicken.
Oh, right.
And it went round like on a conveyor belt thing,
I see.
and we used to pluck them.
Right, yeah.
So I've plucked chickens and that.
Yeah.
I've whitewashed walls, washed floors.
God.
I've done everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I couldn't get my head around when you was talking about St Mabyn had everything. Whereas nowadays, like all villages, there's hardly anything there, is there?
No.
You've got the shop there, and that's about it. But to have, was it 2 butchers, did he say? 2 butchers' shops, or from their own house, then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We had everything there. The butchers, shoe repairers, everything. Can I tell you about an old friend of mine called Mrs. Hewitt?
Of course you can, yeah.
Mrs. Hewitt, she was a dear old friend and lived about 5 miles from the village called Littlewood Mill.
Right.
A small old one, and it had a river running by. She was well in her 80s and she lived alone. One day a man telephoned and asked if she was on her own, and she replied, "You had better come and see." Came off the phone, went upstairs and brought down a gun with 2 cartridges.
Oh.
Placed on the table. That evening her son called on her and said, "Mother, what's the gun doing on the table?" And she replied, "Ivan, if you had come here and find a man dead outside, take him by his feet and throw the bugger in the river." She was quite a character.
She was that, wasn't she?
Yes.
With Ron, where did he meet Ron to then? Was he a St Mabyn boy or no then?
I forget now where he was born. But he came in and he lived with his mother and father, took a small holding, and he went and lived with his sister at Helen Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
So when I met Ron first, he was living at Helen Bridge.
Right, yeah. When
When he went there and lived there, only about 6 months after we got married. So,
right, yeah.
Yeah. But he worked on the farm.
I was going to say, what did
He
do?
worked on the farm, and with being on the farm, he didn't have to do national service.
No, exactly.
But after a while, when the war was all over and that, he then went and worked for SWEB,
All right, yeah.
electric people, and he stayed there
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
he passed away. Like,
So when you got married, did you live in St Mabyn first then, or?
when we got married, you had to be, there's no houses.
No.
So you had to live with your in-laws.
I see.
So we lived with my mother and father for 20 months.
Right.
Then down at Lane End, when we got down there, Mrs. Underhill was friendly with Mr. Thomas the postman,
Right.
and they were getting married.
Right.
So we thought, get in quick.
Yeah.
So I went down and saw her and said, we heard she was getting married. Hope she didn't mind me calling, but was there any chance of us having the cottage? And she said, "Well, I can't do anything for you, dear." She said, "But I had to get in touch with the solicitors up in Lansing,
Right.
Peter Peterson, son." And after a while, she got married. The house come empty, and we went into the cottage, and we were there £1.18 and 6 a quarter,
Oh,
but no electric
no.
and no running water. And St Mabyn, I think, had electric before anyone else, because down at Trevisquite, that was near but dear old Mrs. Hewitt lived,
Yeah.
was the Short brothers.
Right.
They built the Sunderland flying boat plane,
Oh,
didn't they?
yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and of course they moved down to Trevisquite where there was no electric. And of course they had the money.
Yeah.
So they had the electric all put through.
Brilliant.
So that's how St Mabyn we had. But when we went to little down Lane End Cottage first. There was no electric and no running water.
No.
But then the electric came in, and then Costains went through. We said, well, we'd like the water in, but solicitors, they said, well, we can't afford to do it, but if you want it, you put it in.
Yeah.
Well, we paid to put it in because we were down in Lane End Cottage for about 15 years.
Yeah.
Done it all up and that, like we do, because you live there, 2 up and 2 down and stairs up the middle. And then one day Ron went out to paint the windows and all that, and he came in and he said, I can't do any more to this. He said, because we need new windows. Oh. So we got them to come and put new windows and that in, and he looked around and he said, well, Mrs. Hunter, you can't buy this place. Wow. So I said, well, no, but it's our home. Yeah. You have it as nice as you can. But they did put the windows in.
So how did you cope with water? Was there a pump then, or a well, or before you...
We went across to Mr. Hooper, who had a shed, and he had a well down in the floor.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
And we used to get our water from there.
I see.
But when we were children and brought up with Mother down at their house, just a little way away from the door, she had a pump, windlass pump.
I get it, yeah.
And if ever my mother made a jelly, she would half fill the bucket with water, cold water, put the jelly in and wind it part way down the, because no electric.
No, exactly. St Mabyn School, how many classes did you have there then?
We had an upstairs and a downstairs.
All right.
And a little infant's room was downstairs.
Yeah.
You had an infant's room, and then you went from there upstairs, and then you came down again into another big room at the bottom, and that was your last room, like, that you were in.
Yeah, and that's the school building that they still use now.
That's the one they still got now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the village hall.
So with schooling then, who was your schoolmates back then? Was there many girls your age at school? Or?
Oh yes, you had but none of them are living.
No,
today.
No.
None of them are living. None of my friends that I went, that I really had at school.
Yeah, all gone.
They're all gone.
Yeah. And for playing then, I suppose, was you allowed to just run around the village, or was you restricted at all, or no? When you
no, we only had the playground.
Playground.
We had a playground, and we had a green.
All right.
And that was, all that we had.
Yeah. Is that where the playing field is now then, or no, the green?
The green is where it is now, yes. And yes, it's all, I expect it's all been altered indoors, but I know the play yard and the green is still there.
Yeah.
But then I don't go St Mabyn.
No.
No, there's no one up there.
No, exactly.
For me, so.
Yeah. Then eventually you moved to Bodmin to live, did he?
Yes. Well, when we were at Lane End, my father was very poor. Mum didn't really want to be on her own.
No.
And I just said one day, well, before that, Dad's landlady lived in London.
All right.
And if he wanted anything done to the cottage they were in, he used to say, can I repair it? And she used to say, yes, go ahead, Mr. Long, because she didn't. Yeah. The people next door, called Hale, they had the same landlady, but they never did anything. So the Hales then were moving from their place to Longstone,
right,
to where they had new houses built.
All right.
So Mrs. I forget what she's called, but she wrote to Dad one day and said she was wanting to sell the properties. Would he like to have the first chance, and would he buy the two?
Right, yeah.
Which he bought the two. Okay. And Mr. Waterhouse up the road helped him with, he said, came and had a look at the property and said, well, I don't know what your money situation is, but you're better buying next door.
Right.
So they bought next door and did all that up. That's where we lived with them before we met. Mum didn't want anyone living next door because she didn't know who she was going to have. So that was left. Yeah. So the cottage is what wanted, and they had a long garden. So Dad was always poorly, so Mum said, well, she didn't want to be on her own. She was always worried. And I just said, well, if we built a bungalow next door to you, you know, we'll be here as well. Applied to the council here and was going to have a Sellex and Nichols bungalow. But we weren't allowed that because it wouldn't keep in line with the... But we could build a house.
Right.
So I said, build a house. I said, if we built a house, they'd be taller than the other houses because they were old houses.
Exactly.
At the council, Bombing Council, and Mr. Lang from Weybridge, Doug Lang.
Doug, yeah.
He was on the council as well. And about 6 of them came up and met us in the garden of my mother's. They would discuss something, call us over and that, and said they couldn't see why we didn't have anything, but we had to build ourselves. So we thought, ordinary people.
Exactly.
But we had a retired builder in the village.
All right.
Ron had a plumber on the Sweb. I worked for Ronnie Marshall in Bodmin and he had the electrician. And between us all, we built Navarino, as we called it, a 2-bedroom bungalow in the up Kelly Park. And we lived there for 15 years. And then I had a cousin, and they lived, first of all, they lived up in Surrey, and they wanted to sell up there and come into Bodmin to buy a property. Could they come and live with us for a while, sell up there, come and live with us, and find somewhere, which they did.
Yeah.
And they sold up there, and they came into Boxall Park, and then Mary had cancer and she died. Preston wasn't very good and I was helping to look after him and he passed away. So we sold Navarino and moved into Boxall.
Yeah.
We were at Navarino for about 15 years and I've been in Bodmin, Boxall now for about 30 odd.
Crumbs. Yeah.
So that's where the years add up, and I've come to be in 91.
Yeah. So with, like you said, there was a petrol station in St Mabyn. Yeah. Was there many cars early on then when you were young? I didn't think, no.
Not many. They did sell petrol and that quite a bit, but I think he mostly did with the accumulators in the batteries.
Yeah. And who was he again at the
He was called Billy Lee Warren.
All right, yeah.
Billy Warren.
And of course the horses was used a lot years ago, wasn't it?
Yes, they used to have some horses go up and down the village.
And where was the petrol station to then?
That was just down our road, what I call down our bottom end of our village, because we sort of more lived on the top of Denham's Hill.
Yeah, I get it. And then whereabouts was the 2 butchers' shops to then in the village?
One was up in the village and the other one was out at Watergate Lane, where I said they had the brewery. Mr. Venin, he was called.
Right, yeah.
He used, and of course they used to come around with their vans.
Oh, I see.
To deliver them.
Yeah.
And of course outside you had your little safes, didn't you?
Yes. And the post office and stores, is that, because there was one there just by the church?
That's still there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But it's all gone now.
Yeah.
Because they built new stores, didn't
that's
they?
Right. By the village hall there.
By the village hall.
Yeah, that's right. Out of a container, like yeah. So did you have to go to church every Sunday, when Sunday school and all that, or no?
Actually, when we were children, we went to the Methodist.
Oh, yeah.
Mother and father went church.
Yeah.
But we children went to the Methodist.
Where was that one to then?
That was up at Chapel Lane, where the village pub is now.
Yeah.
Across from the village pub, you go, and right up the top was the chapel. Yes, and up in the chapel, in the Sunday school room, we used to have a club, children's club, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to help to run that.
All right.
And we also had the Golden Circle,
Right.
which, well, was elderly people to me back then.
Yeah.
We used to look after and entertain them, like, you
Yeah.
know. There was always something doing.
Mm. Did they have dances in that village hall or anything?
Yes,
or they did?
we used to have the sixpenny hops, we called them.
Yeah.
That every week, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas, she would play the piano, and Mr. Thomas would be on the floor with us, you know, teaching different steps and that.
And where was the sweet shops too then in the village?
Well, Mrs. Chapman, she was across from the school.
Right.
You used to have to go up steps to her place. Mrs. Tab was another little sweet shop, and she used to sell 1 or 2 groceries. And she lived, as you came out, where the pub is, you turn right, and you went as if you were going toward Longstone.
Yeah.
And she had her little shop there.
Oh, I see.
Mrs. Sanford had a sweet shop, which was down my end of the road.
Yeah.
And she had a little sweet shop, and she used to sell all sorts of little things, you know, then. But I used to call family stores when, you know.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
No big stores and that, like Tesco's and all that sort of thing now.
And was the pub there when you was young then?
Yeah, the pub was there when we was young. No youngsters in there then. No youngsters in that pub. We used to try and look in the window, but no youngsters ever went in. Well, like today, everybody can go.
Yeah, it's changed, isn't it? So you said about the doctor, so he would just come once a week?
He would come once a week, and he'd come and do his little bit of surgery in there, and then he would go around the village to anyone that he had to go and see. And of course, then if you sort of wanted your ears syringed and that, then I went out one day with a flask of hot water, because and he said, "Oh, I thought you brought me crib."
Oh, get him. So what happens if somebody was really poorly then? Could they call on him to come perhaps, middle of the week or anything? Or what happened then?
Well, yes, you would call your doctor out. He would call on you.
He would then, yeah.
But I mean, as for hospitals, well, there was a Bodmin Hospital, wasn't there?
That's right. Is that where, like, East Cornwall Hospital used to, up Rhine Street? Is that
that's right,
yeah,
yes.
And was there an undertaker in the village then?
Mr. Kelly, a carpenter, he was the undertaker.
Right.
He made the coffins. And he lived near us as well.
Right.
And yes, and he used to play the violin.
Did he really?
He was lovely. Yeah, every day sometimes you could hear him playing the violin.
Yeah.
It's lovely. And as for the post office, Mr. Oskin up there would come around every morning with the Western Morning News or papers. Everybody always whistling. No, those were the good old days.
Oh, it was one of them. Yeah.
All gone now.
Yeah. And everybody knew everybody, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. Village, And everybody helped everybody.
Yeah. Tis amazing how much smaller the village was, but you had everything there.
We used to catch the bus and go to Bodmin, so it was but it was all in the village.
Yeah, exactly.
And now there's nothing. I was always helping the old folk, I was always sort of looking after people. I've done that all my life, really, looked after different people, but it was all right.
Yeah. And of course, you wouldn't have had telephones back then. No. Nothing like that.
No. And you had to either cycle, didn't you?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You had to cycle.
Where was the nearest train station to?
St. Cuar Way.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Now, every so often, if we wanted to go to Weybridge Cinema, we would walk over St. Cuar Way. We'd go and see the film Our Fish and Chips and that at Lang's, and then we'd come back through what they call Roxy.
Oh, I've heard of Roxy.
Roxy, it was you'd come from school and you went and you came down through like a farm place with all fields and that, and right down to the bottom of Denham's Hill.
Yeah.
And my gran always said Denham's Hill was 1 mile down and 2 mile up, which was true.
Yeah. Did she live in the village as well then? Your grandparents, any of them?
I didn't know my granddad, not on my mother's side. I didn't know him, but Granny Laurie, as we called her, because they were called Lauries, she died when I was 5.
Right.
So I didn't know a lot about her. My father's father, he died on my birthday when I was 11.
Oh dear.
But he was quite a character.
Was he? Yeah.
Quite a character. He would come over. He lived over St. Q, because my gran had gone, and he lived over St. Q away then, in it was more of a shed than,
Right.
And he had a horse, he had a pony.
Right.
He would come to St. Mabyn on the pony, go to the pub, and come out worse for wear, and he'd sort of more or less get on the pony foresight back, but the pony would take him home.
Take home. Oh,
he was quite a character.
Yeah.
But I didn't know really a lot about him. Of course, Ron kept bird aviaries too. We used to sort of buy birds and sell birds, but when he sold the birds, just to keep them going in seed and that, But we used to always go every so often up to Lew Down.
Yes, I know.
Up Jethro's place.
Yes, that's right.
Jethro's the place up there, because they used to have the bird auctions up there.
Oh, did they?
We used to come down to Weybridge here.
Yeah.
And have bird auctions.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was very keen on his birds.
Yeah. Where was your nearest dentist to then? If you had bad teeth, what did he do about that when you was young?
Well, we used to have to come Bodmin or Weybridge.
Oh, I see.
We never had a dentist.
No, everything but a dentist.
Never had a dentist. No, we used to either go Bodmin and that, because back then I never went dentist or anything very much from that back then.
Right. So your brothers then, did all your brothers stay local or did they move away?
My elder brother Peter, he was in the Navy.
Right.
And he left the Navy, and then he was a policeman.
Yeah.
He was in the police force. My second brother, Len, he left school and he went up Plymouth.
All right.
Because a lad in Ayr Road was up at a hotel up there working, and I think they wanted somebody up there to be a groom. Right. And my brother went up there and he was a groomsman. Up there.
Did he ever come back or did he stay there?
No, they got married up there, and then they moved down and lived with my mother and that for a while. And then they had a council house in St. Mabyn. Yeah. And then they had a daughter, and when Sheila was 4 years old, they moved back to Plymouth again, because there was a job up there at Lee Moore.
All right,
So we went up there. My brother Brian, he was in the Navy. No, he went in. He went on boats, P&O line, the P&O and that. But he was like me. We were good dancers.
Yeah, right.
We both loved dance. We were good dancers. And he used to do this dancing and that. Then he finally went and lived up in London. I was the only one who stayed around. And looked after Mother and they when they needed it, and I looked after everybody.
Well, thank you, Nancy. I think we've covered so much. It's been fantastic. You've been so organised. It's been proper. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. Well, I hope everybody's enjoyed it and found it interesting. Thank you all for listening, and I'll sign off now. Nancy.
Proper job. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Wasn't it fantastic? Our connection with St. Mabyn goes back a long time, really. Mother, she went to school there. I think she said, I know she said it was her favourite school, because they did move around quite a bit when she was younger. She loved St. Mabyn. And then, of course, my Uncle Monty and Auntie Babs, we used to go and visit when they lived up St. Mabyn. So we've had a few connections. And, of course, then our youngest maid, we named her Mabyn too. So there we are. I think for me Cornish word of the week, 'twas interesting when Nancy said how St. Mabyn was one of the first villages around to get electricity, and she went in the story with that. So I thought for me Cornish word, I'll do the Cornish for electricity, which is Tredan. Tredan. And for me Cornish dialect of the week, I know a week or two ago I did have rough and ready like a rat catcher's dog. Well, after me escapades at the woods, I had a slight variation on that. But I thought what I'd do this week is an old one which we still use a lot now. If somewhere's really untidy, you say, God, it's like Lanson Jail. So it is really untidy, you say it is like Lanson Jail, which is for people that might pronounce it as Launceston, but obviously down here we pronounce it as Lanson. Right, well, I've gone on enough. I hope you'd enjoyed it, and I'll leave you for now. I'll speak to you again next week. Wish you well. Do Guinness. Curno Beswicken.